The Alabama Crimson Tide are becoming one of the premier schools at both landing and developing star wide receiver talent. Over the last few years, we've had guys such as Jameson Williams, John Metchie, Henry Ruggs, Devontae Smith, Jalen Waddle, and Jerry Jeudy. Those are just a couple of names, and there are many guys on the current roster that could break out and become stars in 2022. That'll be saved for a later video, but in today's video, I wanted to highlight a certain player who's reminding fans of a young Jalen Waddle, and this guy is a freshman who could take over right away for the Tide, and maybe, just maybe, be the next guy in line. We're going to talk about his story, who he is, and what his impact could be this fall. So, without further ado, let's get started. So there are actually a couple of incoming freshman wide receivers for this team, but the guy we're going to spotlight today is named Aaron Anderson. If you're an LSU fan, you're probably upset when you hear that name, and you'll find out why later. Aaron grew up in the talent-rich state of Louisiana and always played football and was a big-time athlete from a young age. Eventually, he got to Edna Carr High School and played alongside Jalen Lucas, an Indiana football commit, and Tyge Hill, an LSU commit. He was especially close with Hill, and after 4 years of being close friends on the football field, they were to live together at college the next year. Yeah, they were both committed to LSU, and they were going to stay home and play for the home state Tigers. Aaron became one of the best players in the state of Louisiana, and went from a 3-star recruit to a 4-star recruit. He was highly sought after on the recruiting trail, and chose LSU. But then, things went a different way. Aaron decided to reopen his recruitment, and 2 weeks later had already found a new school. He decided to decommit from the Tigers on October 18th, following the announcement that Ed Orgeron was no longer going to be the head coach of LSU. So, where would Aaron go? Well, he had offers from Arkansas, Colorado, and Florida State, but there's one offer I left off, and that was Alabama. That is where he would head. His best friend Hill from high school had this to say, quote, "I wish he would have stayed at LSU just to play with each other, but we still have that family vibe, and it's going to be very interesting to play each other, and I get to tackle him next year." He also went on to say that he saw the flip coming. He said, quote, "It was a little bit heartbreaking, but I understood it." Once you decommit from a school like LSU, there's no other place to go to than a school like Alabama or a Power 5 school like that. I kind of knew, but once he broke the news, I respected it, and there was no bad blood or anything, but we're just happy for each other and proud of each other. This would not be the first time that Nick Saban stole a star out of the state of Louisiana, as a couple of other Bama stars from the last few years from Louisiana include Devontae Smith, Landon Collins, Eddie Lacy, Cam Robinson, Tim Williams, Dylan Moses, Christian Harris, and Irv Smith Jr. There are many great names from that state, and maybe Aaron is next up. To say he was a star was an understatement. He had more than 6,000 all-purpose yards over 4 years, and he scored 70 touchdowns, and 20 of those came on kick and punt returns. The leading recruiter for him was Pete Golding, who's Alabama's defensive coordinator, and he also was wanted by Nick Saban. What's actually pretty interesting is that this was the plan all along, according to Aaron. He said, quote, "I made this decision because based on Coach Orgeron at LSU, we had an agreement that if he were to leave, I would be taking my talents to Alabama. The staff at LSU, we made that commitment. I had this in mind for a while, and I know that all the LSU fans are a little bit disappointed, but I had to make the best decision for me. Roll Tide, baby." I've never really heard of a recruit doing that, but I'm also not surprised. According to 24/7 Sports, Aaron is a 4-star recruit, the number 4 wide receiver, and the 35th best player in the class of 2022. So, what kind of potential does Aaron have? Well, I would compare him to a former Tide great, Jalen Waddle. He is literally Jalen Waddle 2.0. In high school, Anderson ran a 10.77 100-meter dash and broke the 11-second threshold on 5 different track races. This guy has All-American caliber speed. He had over 20 return touchdowns in high school and has the same athletic build. Well, obviously they won't be the same exact player. I think Anderson has the potential to. But that's just my opinion. What do the scouts have to say? Quote, "He is a dynamic slot receiver with legit foot speed that's a big play waiting to happen. He is under 5'10", but at times he plays bigger than his size would suggest. His muscular build allows him to power his way through most would-be tacklers in open field, and his quick feet might be the best aspect of his game so he can shake and lose defensive backs with sharp cuts. He will need to keep progressing as a route runner, but he already seems to have mastered how to sell a double move. He should provide an immediate special teams value for a college football playoff contender, given how elusive he is with the ball in his hands. So basically what the scouts are saying is that he can have an impact right away for the Tide, and do not be surprised if he's a superstar in a couple of years. Bama does return a couple of good receivers, including Trayshawn Holden, Ja'Cory Brooks, Agaye Hall, and Georgia transfer Jermaine Burton, but maybe we could see Aaron Anderson play his way into the mix. And maybe 3 years from now, we'll be hearing his name in the first round. But we will have to wait and see how it plays out. I love doing these freshman and high school player spotlight videos, so if you have another freshman or high school recruit I could take a look at in my next video, be sure to let me know down below. Also, if you want to support the channel, be sure to smash that like button, subscribe, and turn on post notifications, and let me know what you think of Aaron Anderson in this 2022 Alabama wide receiver room. I appreciate you guys tuning in, and be sure to check out all my other videos on the end screen. I hope to see you guys again soon, but until next time, peace.